Welcome to Son Coaches Podcast. And today, as every Sunday, I'm joined by Coach Ed Gaffca, the Executive Director of the Georgia Fired Football Coaches Association. We're here tonight to talk about the state championship games, job openings, and some other things that we've noticed as we close the year out and get ready for the job season. Coach, thanks for being on with me.
As always, I appreciate the opportunity to get on here and hopefully entertain some folks with our thoughts and statements about the comings and goings in Georgia high school football.
So the state championships are over with, and we have Beaufort, Thomas County Central, Creekside, Sandy Creek, Carver, Columbus, Worth County, Bowden, and Hebron Christian as our state champions this year. There was a lot of good games. I'm going to let you comment, of course, as usual. With the bigger boys, I enjoyed the games I did see. I didn't really watch a whole lot of it. I had a lot of other things going on around the house, getting ready for the holidays, and didn't really have any skin in any of the games. But I saw some games that I thought were closer than I thought they would be. I saw some results that were showcased the fact that we are the best state in the union when it comes to high school football, with the competitive nature of our state championship games. There was only one BTA situation, and I wasn't at all mad about that. But other than the one game, I thought all of the games were very competitive, showcased great coaching, great athletes, and it's just a shame that our people that are in charge of bringing us those games and broadcasting those games aren't at the same level as our coaches and players all the time.
No, there's no doubt about it. I mean, again, it's always a really great opportunity to showcase each classification and kind of their best two teams, right? And they've been playing, for 4 months and practicing and preparing since January. So it's really a good culmination for a lot of teams. And even the guys that end up losing in this, only two teams every year get to play for it in your classification, and you were one of the two. So that's a huge honor. I will say that, whenever you look at it from a classification standpoint, I'll let you kind of hit on the lower classes, but just starting out in 3A, you had Jefferson and Sandy Creek, and Sandy Creek, and they mentioned on the wonderful GPV broadcast 100 times that they have Power 4 guys at every position in the secondary. And at some point, they just said, screw it, we're just going to play 8 in the box and stop your run game. And, Jefferson just did not have a guy that could have any wiggle to him and, keep that thing kind of interesting for Jefferson. That Jefferson team is just, they're not going to beat themselves, but, they needed to find a way to get a couple turnovers. I thought they held their running back at Sandy Creek in check, to a degree, but this Sandy Creek team is very, very good. You see why they were ranked number 1 in a lot of polls throughout the year. Jefferson was the 1 seed because their one loss just happened to be to North Oconee, and that's where that PSR is going to get funky as we move forward. But ultimately, I thought that game, it just, when you can't throw and catch effectively and at least make it interesting, I think it was disappointing, because I do think that wasn't a great indication at times at just how good of a football team Jefferson is and what a good job Coach Nolan and those guys do. But they definitely had opportunities. But Sandy Creek was just way too much. And then when you go up to 4A, again, that's Creekside Benedictine. I thought Benedictine played that a lot closer than I think anybody would have thought, and that's just a huge kudos to Benedictine and their entire team. I thought that once the game settled in a little bit, and in that third quarter, Creekside was able to stretch their legs and I think get up about 42-24, and then towards the end there, I think Benedictine scored two, late touchdowns to make that a little bit closer. But, you know, Creekside has just speed everywhere, and they played great defense. But Benedictine had a great game plan of kind of creating a little bit of havoc and confusion and natural rub routes and natural, kind of misdirection, throwbacks, and things of that nature. Really, and their guys were there, but credit to Benedictine for being able to make contested catches and make something happen with it. So, I was really impressed with both those teams, and Creekside scores like a billion points this year, so they definitely have their stamp on it. As for 5A, obviously we had TCC and Gainesville, and you know TCC just looked like a weight room team. They were the better team physically on both sides of the ball. They were able to just bully the hell out of the fronts on both sides. Gainesville had some stuff, I thought, with the quarterback run, but I think it was just too little, too late. And you could tell that hasn't been part of their game plan in games past. So, it was just one of those things. I think he kind of came into a game where TCC just played pissed off, and it showed. Um, I think that TCC's running back's great, but their offensive line's better. And I think that they played great defense, and they did an excellent job on a lot of those red elephant guys. But I did find it interesting that, you know, I will say my one nitpick on that entire game had to be the the whistle, the inadvertent whistle that everybody, the Gainesville folks were losing their mind over when I think everybody could hear that from the hills of Fannin County down to the swamp of Bainbridge. I mean, everybody heard that damn thing. But apparently, and they were like, well, he broke it. It was going to be a touchdown. The reason he broke it is because everybody freaking stopped. Everybody on Thomas County Central stopped because you know what happened the next time they kicked off? They blew his ass up at the 10-yard line. So understand that, I get it. You're reaching for anything. You're fighting for your kids, not knocking it. After all of this, as much shit as I've given to the Gainesville folks, and not even intentionally, they just always decide they want to comment on stuff and attack stuff. So, I will give flowers where flowers are due, and they need to understand that TCC fans are somehow worse after this whole thing. They can't even take a joke. They don't. Maybe they're not intelligent enough. I don't know. I really don't. It's just the damnedest thing. They can't understand that. Yeah, you're running back from Tallahassee. Who gives a shit? Own it, and start making fun of Tallahassee for not being able to keep that kid. It's not a knock on the coaches. It's not a knock on your community. You should be wanting more of those kids. But don't come at me with don't come at me saying that's not true when I got receipts. I got receipts. Don't tell me that 2 years ago when you won the state, you had an entire team that was homegrown kids. No, you didn't. The quarterback was on the damn Valdosta Rush Pro show. I mean, that's not a homegrown kid. So, tread lightly. That's all I'm saying. I don't like having to do that, but God willing, you'll keep it up and delete your tweets. But lastly, the 6A state championship that happened at midnight between Buford and Carrollton. Buford obviously ended up winning, running inside zone mainly. And I still think Carrollton's probably top down, probably the most talented team. But I think they're cursed. I don't think Carrollton is ever going to win a state championship at this rate. I just don't know. I think Joey King does a great job. I just think that every time they go to, I mean, this is back-to-back state title appearances, and you got people that are already like, I don't really know. I mean, can Coach King get it done? Shit, man, if he can't get it done, who's going to come in there and get it done? You're in the highest classification, going against other teams. You're beating people to sleep. Ultimately, Buford does too good that they are great on defense and boring as hell on offense, but effective. And that's just what it came down to. I mean, um, So for those upper games right there, I mean, I think for the most part, you had some fun games to watch. If you were somebody that wanted to watch games lose, you were happy. If you were somebody that didn't want Gainesville to lose, obviously you probably turned that thing off and you know um, took the cowboy hat off for a little bit and turned on some George Strait and had a good cry and a stiff drink. But ultimately, again, you're one of the final two teams, and you were the second team in your region. So understand that you kind of uh, really hit your stride when you needed to, and that's a hell of a season. Coach Nibble did a great job of getting everybody rowing in the right direction after the Brunswick game, and that's to be applauded. But outside of that, Coach, you have anything on those upper games?
Actually, I did want to say a couple of things. I wanted to piggyback off what you said about the Creekside and Benedictine game. I mean, Coach Britt's one of the legends, one of the best to ever do it, and I didn't think they would be able to stay on the field with him from an athlete standpoint, but man, was I wrong. But I did think that stylistically that game could be exciting. The two contrasting styles. The TCC Gainesville game, good. I'm glad for a lot of reasons. But one thing I saw, and I don't know how you address this because the helmet to helmet thing's not an intent thing. You can't say, well, he didn't mean to hit him in the head, but something has to be done about like the kid from Gainesville catches the kickoff. He goes to make a cut, and when he went to make the cut, the kid from Thomas County Central had already committed, left his feet. He was below the waist. He was fixing a gator tackle or hawk tackle, whatever you want to call it. But when the kid slipped, it brought his helmet and face and everything else down toward the ground, and the kid ends up hitting him in the head, and it looked bad. And that was, unfortunate. I get it. You can't say intent, but also in the college game, like I saw in the Miami Oklahoma game the other night, it was a blatant helmet to helmet contact where the kid from Miami goes straight knocked out, and it was not even mentioned by the commentators at all. And it's like we pick and choose when we do that. Officiating wasn't great. And as far as the Buford Carrollton game goes, that's just, they're both good. Somebody had to win, and this time it happened to be Buford. Now in the lower classifications, in 2A, Carver Atlanta repeats, and with a brand new coaching staff, and what that tells me is they've got really good players. So yeah, they have to keep them together, and yeah, they've got to get them lined up. But Hateville Charter did a good job of making a game out of it, here and there. But, they got dudes, and they ain't going nowhere. So, and apparently it doesn't really matter who coaches them. I mean, no disrespect to the coaching staff there because they did a great job or whatever. But they had a whole nother group last year. The kids didn't change. And the coaches changed, and good on them that they had sense enough to realize how good they were and just stay out their way and let them do what they do. And what I thought was one of the most competitive games, the Toombs County Worth County game was one for the ages. Coach Hammond wins the state championship at Worth County for the first time in 30-something years. One of my mentors, Coach Milt Miller, who the field's named after in Worth County, is the last one to do it. That was just a good game. I mean, they're both good. One team just made more plays than the other team. They're both extremely well coached, and they're both moving up to the next classification next year. So that was a great game, I thought. And then in low A, the Bowden-Lincoln County game, I can't tell you how many times over the years we've told kids that we didn't get beat, guys. We just ran out of time. And that's literally what happened to Lincoln County. They just run out of time on the 3-yard line, and a 2-minute offense just isn't what they do. And I was very impressed with the way they played, and Bowden did what Bowden do. And then in the private game, the mane and tail Lions of Hebron, as you like to call them, win the private classification. And at first, I thought it was going to be a complete boat race, but Calvary did a good job of coming back and making a game out of it, and it came down to a 1-score game. And I just really enjoyed the fact that outside of the 5A game, and I enjoyed that too, they were all, pretty good games. And that's what I took from it. And then I've got production issues with GPB, but they have the monopoly on it. Them in the dome, the bins, they're going to make sure they don't care if they stay up till midnight. They don't care if they're going to, the same people they're going to have calling the games and calling end around and whatever. They don't know the modern terminology of what plays are called. They don't have a clue what's going on. I don't understand why they won't get, old football coaches or guys that are still coaching, see if they'll come up there and be the color guy or the play-by-play guy, and you provide the color guy. And officiating was what it was. The instant replay or the replay stuff was an abomination to technology. I think they'd have been better off just taking a Polaroid and putting it on a zip line from up in the press box and zipping it down there to the sideline would have been quicker than them looking. When we can look at it on the replay they're showing and say, the kid caught it, the ball's there, spot it, let's go. I don't understand why they can't do that as well.
No, I think it's amazing that these people who get paid to produce games and provide that product, and also the people who are like, hey guys, we have one game where this needs to work, and that's the review system. So how do we do it the most efficient way possible? I don't know if that question was even asked. I'm pretty sure it just said, shit guys, we probably just, I don't know, review it and see what angles we get and figure it out on the run. That's kind of how I feel. Now, would it make sense if maybe they were getting their live in-game clips to their iPad from maybe Huddle, and that's why it sucked and took forever? Potentially. I mean, that's a fair that is a fair ask because Huddle's a piece of shit and it never works. So I think that everybody that listens to this podcast can agree that they have had more games without the use of Huddle Sideline working than ones that actually do work. Now, I will say, going back to that Lincoln and Bowden game, Lincoln is a wing T, team. I think the one question I would have is, number one pass play for wing T offense is waggle. Can a brother get a waggle down there on the goal line? Give my guy an offer. I guarantee you that middle crosser is going to be wide ass open because he always is. But again, those two teams played their asses off, and you hate having a game end like that, but it just is a testament to those guys on both sides. Again, I would have definitely preferred somebody call Waggle down there, but that's my armchair quarterbacking on that one, and yeah, I mean, Worth County, again, those two teams are so evenly matched, and Worth did a hell of a job just being able to really make the right plays at the right time. And then, Hebron over there, um, it's kudos to that entire staff because I know after Coach Guest leaves and, there's that changeover and you get coach from Rabin County coming down, and he did a hell of a job this year, and he deserves a lot of flowers in that process as well. But yeah, I'm with you on the broadcast, and I would really enjoy anybody. I mean, I would rather them just go silent during a commercial break than me have to listen to the Heads Up Georgia shit one more time. I think that that is what nightmares are made of. And I'm all for promoting kids wanting to be creative and create a commercial for a contest. But damn, can we not just play that one time, maybe two per day? Not every commercial break. Every commercial break, I got to listen to that. Again, it's some weird deal that they have with NFHS to make your viewership experience as shitty as possible. So if that was their big, they get it on the whiteboard and they circle their big idea or um, their question of the day, right? Their essential question. Um, it's how can we make this as shitty for the people at home as possible? Because we're not gonna sell a lot of tickets and give out a lot of media passes for obvious reasons. We got to have an at home audience. So here we go.
What one
They check all those boxes.
one thing that I got tickled with, one commercial that I saw, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but one thing that I saw it just made me laugh. It was during the 5A game, and it was a NFHS commercial talking about be a good sport or putting good sportsmanship back in the game, and I'm like, too soon, man, too soon.
Yeah, your those copies, your copies of these games are costing people, some suspensions, man, and like NFHS, you're right up there on the Mount Rushmore of why coaches, it's the why daddy drinks thing, like NFHS, Huddle, and the wet bulb. All of those are so shitty, and I know it's just something we battle with every year, and hope to God it improves, but sadly we're miles away.
Well, that wraps up the session that we have, the segment we have on the state championship games are done for this year. The good thing is now everybody's 0-0. I hope those children enjoy being the state champs, and we had some repeat guys and some four-time champs, and we'll see if any of these guys can repeat or see if Bowden can go for the mythical 5 in a row, which I don't see why not, because they play in a totally different situation than everybody else. So that brings us into the job season. And if you're a coach gearing up for the job search, you already know your portfolio can make or break your next opportunity. At coachingportfolio.com, we help coaches at every level stand out with elite professional-grade portfolios, resumes, and interview prep tools. From ready-to-use templates to custom-built documents, we take the guesswork out of the process. Whether you're chasing your first job or your dream job, be prepared, be polished, and be unforgettable. Visit coachingportfolio.com and make your next move with confidence. And as always, when the state championship game's in, then usually my busiest time of the year starts, and that is the job season. And we had more jobs come open. We had Northgate come open when Kevin Whitley left to take the Westlake job that was open. There's no telling how much of an upgrade. Right now he's got to be the best hire. I mean, it's just, to me, it's not even debatable. Witt's a great coach. He won when he was at Creekside. He won when he went to Stockbridge. He got Northgate going in the right direction, getting it turned around. And at Westlake, with those type of athletes and the just the plethora of talent that they have in that area and at that school, I look for them to be very good very quickly. Wilkinson County has come open, the home of Honey Boo Boo. If you've ever wondered where those people came from, that's it, south of Milledgeville, when Coach Jamoski Ward has taken the Central Macon job.
Now, Coach, that could be a good thing. I'm pretty sure Honey Boo Boo, they got some thick old people down there. So maybe you have some offensive linemen, whether male or female, they're thick. So maybe that's a good thing.
I don't know, but they if there's a couple of families that produce really good athletes there, and if there are any of them children with them last names still there, they're going to be okay. Known as a basketball school more than anything. It's in the lowest classification, the low A, which will be single A next year. And they won a lot of state championships in basketball. But Coach has done a great job with them the last 2 years there, and has parlayed it into probably, well, there ain't no probably, I imagine he's going to get paid a little bit more money in Bibb County than he was there. Warren County came open despite their coach taking them to the quarterfinals. We saw them this summer at the Putnam OTA, and they were on their fifth quarterback in a single A school. And they're one of the smallest schools in the state, and nobody's moving into Warren County. And they've got 30 players on a good day. And he's been there for quite some time, the AD and the head football coach. Good staff, good man, good people, doing a great job. The Board of Education changes. Superintendent calls him in and tells him we're going in a hot, different direction. The old hot, different direction saying that I like so much. And just to remind people, as I always do, the backwards is, in fact, a direction. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on there. And then you've got Northside Columbus came open. I don't know anything about it. It's in Muskogee County, and you're not Carver. That's pretty much all I need to know. So good luck with that.
And you're in Columbus, for Christ's sake. I mean, I get it. There's a lot of people that probably love Columbus. I mean, I'm not one of them. Obviously, that's well on the record. It's probably going to be on my headstone between that and Albany down there. Y'all can have that. Break that off the state if you have to. But, Columbus, for some reason, we gift them the softball and cheerleading state championships every year. And for the life of me, I don't know why. I've got no idea why that we send any of our teams to damn Columbus for overnight trips. But hey, that's one guy's opinion. All right. If you were to join the GAFFCA and we branched off, and y'all tell me where you want to have it. We'll rotate that thing. If we got two South Georgia teams in, I'm not making you drive north. Y'all pick a location, roll the balls out, let's go play.
Oh, absolutely. I'm with you on that. I wouldn't give you a nickel for Columbus or Albany, to be honest with you. Drove through there this weekend coming home from a wedding down in deep South Georgia. Also, speaking of deep South Georgia, Mitchell County has come open. So in Mitchell County, you've got Pelham, which is the city school, Mitchell County, which used to be Mitchell Baker, which is there. You had now Baker County is starting a football program, and you also have a private school down there, Westwood, that draws kids off. And you don't have the population base to have that many schools. You also have Baconton Charter, which is also right there in that area. So you've got 5 high schools in an area that really should only have one, and they have parted ways with one of their most popular and recognizable alumni in Dondrell Pinkins. Played on the state championship team there as a quarterback, and then went on to play at South Carolina. I don't know what they're going to do. I have no idea. I thought they were doing a pretty good job down there. So my guess would be politics as usual, or something that's not going to get out that wasn't quite handled like it should have been handled. And then the other job that we didn't talk about last week that's open is Washington County, again parting with a former alumni, Robert Edwards. They brought him back thinking that he would be the one to save the universe. And I guess when the private school in town wins a state championship and your House of Pain can't get out of the first round, I guess that's why they think they need to make a change. Well, they shouldn't have made the change the last time. Maybe they learned from it. Maybe they didn't. We'll find out. We see who they hire this next time down there in Sandersville. But those are the jobs that are open right now that just came open, the most recent ones that we didn't talk about last week. and that puts us well over 50. I think we're at 53 or 54 jobs open right now. And this is the early period. That's what's crazy. Usually jobs didn't come open until, you get like 10 or 15 come open before Christmas, and then after the January board meeting, you'd have a pile of them come open, and then there'd be a late push right there, right at the end of February. But that's just, I don't know. It's interesting to me. There's no telling how many of them are going to come open this year. And what have you heard up in the North Georgia area about jobs, Coach?
Well, obviously, I've probably been blown up more about Hart County, than any of them, and that's rightfully so. Like we talked about last week, good job. Um, you know, uh, they are starting to kind of make their rounds, have their calls, have a few people in for interviews, and kind of start that process. But I think if there's one thing that I can definitively ask of Hart County leadership, please God, do not go after the biggest name. Do not go after the biggest splash. Go after the best fit, because they might yell at you and be like, "Why are you going with this guy?" Well, it'll pay off, um, because just because a guy who has been successful elsewhere doesn't necessarily mean he'll be successful there, because Hart County does have its little, kind of differences. Um, and I think it's incredibly important to make sure we have, exactly what we need from a leadership standpoint at any school. But at Hart County, I think you really need to find the right guy that understands the community, that's going to get every kid out that needs to be out there, and avoid the trap of, oh, Kirby Smart called. I need to really consider this guy. Kirby Smart did somebody a favor. Who gives a shit? Um, take off your red and black goggles for a minute and realize that, hey, what's in the best interest of Hartwell, Georgia, Hart County? Um, on another note, Mountain View closed. Congrats, there, and they hired, on staff there, and hopefully he's able to get everybody kind of rowing in the right direction from an admin level down. Because I know there had been some talk about how it's not an overly supportive administration from an athletic standpoint. But hopefully that's, it all depends on who's leading that and the expectations that are set. But I have had a lot of conversations with people who have had conversations with Winder, and to say that Winder is a proverbial shit show going on right now would probably be putting it nicely. Um, when you call somebody to come and interview, and you call their bosses, and you call all these people and get everybody kind of like, okay, he might get this job. They really want him. And then he comes and interviews, and not just one person, did it with several. They come and interview, and then you ghost them. You don't even have the audacity to oh, hey, maybe I should call and be an actual professional human being. I get it. You've been in administration too long, and you've gone to so many professional development bullshit trainings where they teach you your why, that you forgot why you should respond to people when they come and interview. And that's the problem. Again, every day that goes by and every moment I hear something more about the Winder process, it's honestly, why the hell would anybody want to go there? And I hate it for those kids, and I hate it for that community, because based on those interactions with coaches who have had those conversations with leadership there, I mean, I don't know how in the hell somebody would say, I want to sign up for that. That sounds really good. That sounds like something I want to go do. I mean, again, everybody wants to be a head coach, but it does matter where that job is, and who that job is with, and who you're working for, because at the end of the day, um, ask them why. Ask them why it didn't work out with Paxia. Do me that favor, and I want to know that answer. because I'm sure you're gonna. If you ask three people, they'll probably give you three different answers because they're not on the same damn page, and that's a problem. So again, I think that there's something in the water there. I'm disappointed in the process that they've had. I mean, they've had numerous conversations, numerous interviews, numerous all this stuff. And then for you not to at least have the decency to call somebody and say, "Hey, thank you for your time. We are, you know, we we identified a couple other candidates that we think maybe better align with our job right now, but we really appreciate your time." You know how freaking easy that is. Again, it's just lazy, it's unprofessional, and it makes your organization look as shitty as it gets. So I don't know. I don't know what Wander's going to do. I wish whoever gets it the best of luck. Uh, and hopefully they treat you with a lot more professionalism than they've treated some others. But I know several jobs that'll be closing as soon as admins at different schools can agree to let certain coaches out of their contracts because God forbid they don't have somebody that can take on an extra class that teaches science all day, and they're like, well, we can't give them extended day for you to go and better yourself and be the head football coach of this other place. So until we find a long-term sub to take over, you got to be here. It's just chicken shit stuff, and it drives you crazy. But once that stuff gets ironed out, you're going to have about 3 or 4 jobs probably close here in the next. Well, when we get back from Christmas and New Year, so probably mid January, you're going to have some stuff officially close, and any special called board meeting, just go ahead and assume it's for the head football coach. And we didn't mention that Greene County was also open because like apparently the coach putting his hands on kids. I mean, which I think when you become a teacher and a coach, it's like rule one: don't put your hands on kids in any way, shape, or form. I mean, it's just day one, rule one. So I think that's again, Greene County is interesting. I don't know if it's a good job, honestly. I think that nothing against the guy that's now brought up on charges, but ultimately, I think they had a couple guys that I thought were better suited and would have done a great job there. But they obviously wanted to go with the guy who I guess allegedly put his hand on kids. So hey, teaches on. Again, we have leaders in school systems that, boy, I wouldn't want them running a damn hot dog stand. I mean, just the inability to judge character is incredible, and it's undefeated with a lot of these folks. So it's just those things. But yeah, that's all I got in North Georgia.
Yeah, that unfortunately, and we've discussed it several times on here, is why chasing administration is so important when you're going after head coaching jobs. Because here's the really bad thing, coach, is Winder, as bad as that situation is right now and how they're handling it, it won't be the worst one. It won't be. Somebody will do it worse. I mean, it happens every year. Every year since I've been keeping up with this, there's one job that ends up being the biggest goat roping in the history of goat roping. And you're like, there's no way anybody could screw this up this bad. And every year somebody else does it. And with social media the way it is, the way people talk, the way people in the communities, in the coaching community, and the way we communicate, surely they know that that there's a better way to handle it. But they never do. There's always a clown show. I mean, there's the guy with the top hat and the lions and the 3 rings and look on the trapeze. That's right now the leader in the clubhouse is Winder, but it'll be. I would venture to bet a lot of money that it's going to be somebody else before it's all said and done. But if you want to get involved in a situation that's not a circus, and it is debatable on how much of a clown show it is because of the lack of ability on the course, the Lee Murray Invitational GACA Golf Tournament will be taking place the weekend after the Masters this year. I think I said the weekend before last week, but I believe it's the weekend after at Little Oak Mulgee State Park. and it is a great, great time, a great, great event. It's a 2-man scramble put over 2 days with a Calcutta at night, and they feed you. You can stay at the lodge, a lot of great fellowship, and they break down the teams into enough they've got enough tiers and enough rounds or whatever, but you got a chance to win at somewhere you're at. They flight it out after the first day, and they use golfing manufacturers. So like the Titleist is the top flight guys, and then the Nitro is the one I'm usually in. So they run the gambit, but you'll have a great time. If you want any information on that, get with Coach John Willoughby or myself. You can find us both on Twitter, and we'll be happy to get you signed up and ready to go. Let's have so many people that they got to rent golf carts and bring them in. It's a great time and fellowship, and get to see a lot of old heads and young coaches, and it's just really a good time. And I just wanted to throw that in there before we got into the next segment, our last segment for tonight, which is Rants and Raves. I don't have any raves, but I got a rant. So this is mine. I'm going to go first. I'm going to let you take us on out with yours before we close out this evening. But mine is the biggest, not the biggest, but one of the things I noticed watching the state championship games is all of these children that go to these services, and they're rated 3-star and 4-star and 5-star and North Star and Shining Star and whatever their mom and daddy are paying money for them to go sign up for. Rivals had the team that Creekside beat by 70, ranked 10 places, 11 places ahead of them in their final national rankings, which is absurd. But these companies are making God knows how much money telling you how good your child is, when I saw some kids that have been rated in the star system get absolutely jobbed, BTA style, straight road graded, look like dumpster cats out there against kids that got no stars. None. Zero. No, this kid ain't got no offers. Now, granted, he can't fog a mirror when it comes to classwork. However, it can't be the case for all of them. I mean, it's mathematically improbable. I mean, one of the things that I thought was fantastic is when they showed that the running back from Thomas County Central is going to Wake Forest. Well, I can tell you this. That kid has got to be intelligent, because Wake Forest really don't care how good you are at football. You ain't going there to football. You going there to school, even in this day and time. And they still ain't just going to let you in because you're a good football player. So when I saw he was going to Wake Forest, I was like, good God Almighty, that kid's got to be pretty sharp, because they don't just let anybody in at Wake Forest. I mean, that's a high academic school there. And that was impressive. And I thought that was great. But some of these other kids that were, they ain't got no stars, nobody's heard of them, nobody knows anything. They're getting offers from Northeast South Dakota State, or the Maritime War Academy, and, some flag football team startup program in the middle of Ookie Bookie, Arkansas, wherever. And I'm not taking shots at any of these other places. I'm just saying, I understand NIL has affected the game, and I understand the transfer portal has affected the game. But my point is, I need to start one of these me and you need to start one of these evaluation programs, apparently, because I saw some people that are getting no flowers that just straight donkey stomp them other children in the state championship games. And I would like the buyer to beware. Just because your kids at your school or other people are going to private trainers, or they're paying to go to these combines, and they're paying these recruiting services, do your homework. Make sure you get with somebody that's not going to profit off of you. Find out why they're doing it. Are they doing it because that's their primary source of income? If it is, then just beware. You've been told this is how the game works. I've been in that game before too. I can go ahead and tell you. I'll tell you whatever you need to want to hear about your child for $120 an hour. I'll tell you he's the next coming of Roger Staubach or Mickey Mantle or Aaron Judge, whichever one you want it to be. He might be the next Steph Curry. If he works with me, I can get him there for $120 an hour. Mind you, I mean let's get that up front, cash preferably. So that's my rant. That's my sermon on the mount for tonight, and I'll let you finish us off with whatever it is that's got you stirred up today.
Well, I'll start with a rave. I got sent this, and to be honest with you, when I came across it, I got to be honest with you. I know that the coach was serious here, and I'm not trying to make light of his situation. But Coach Corey Minzer down there in Florida, he put out a statement after he was told to quietly step down. Um, I think they just went to the playoffs for a second straight, year. They were good, by all accounts, pretty solid looking football team. But also, I'm just now looking at that mascot, and that's a hell of a mascot. I don't know what the mascot is, but I'm a big fan. It's a sailor fighting fish or something like that. I don't know, but so he wrote this statement saying, even Jesus sat at a table with the one who would eventually sell him out. It's heavy weight to realize that the people you broke bread with, strategized with, and considered friends were the ones planning your exit. But just as the betrayal of Judas couldn't stop the resurrection, this setback won't stop what God has planned for me next. Again, absolutely elite statement, in my opinion. Anytime you can weave anytime you can weave talking about betrayal, Judas, the resurrection, and then weave that thing back into your career, I mean, you pretty much hit a dang home run here. It'd be incredible if he was at a private school and that was his statement. Again, it's a Hall of Fame tweet, Hall of Fame everything. And is this his version of resigning quietly? Because I got to be honest, I'd hate to see his example if this was that. What I mean, I can't imagine what he'd say if this is not quietly. Um, so kudos to Coach Minster, and hopefully I look forward to seeing what his next stop is, and I'm sure it'll be noteworthy regardless. But as for a rant, I will say one of the more frustrating topics that I feel like I have to answer over and over and over again is people think that I'd come on, Twitter or whatever and go after, Gainesville or Thomas County Central or whoever's recruiting and da 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 da. I don't give a shit about recruiting. I don't. I really and truly don't. If you want your kid to go to a place, go. I don't care. It's going to make again, you don't want a kid on your team that don't want to be there. If they're not bought in, bye. But on the same hand, um, I don't believe that, you know, adult men should be DMing with teenage boys. Okay. That's step one. I think a large portion of the United States probably, now I say large portion of the United States, I think a large portion of the, still has their right to vote because they're not a convicted felon, would be able to agree with that statement. Don't message with teenage boys. Um, but it's the manner in which this happened, right? The GHSA puts in a lot of different rules. If the GHSA enforced their rules, nobody would give a shit. They're just going to add more rules, and the people that do try to follow those rules to the letter of the law, they're not going to get their kid eligible. And meanwhile, we see other places get kids in, and you can sit there and write all these anonymous letters you want, okay, and it comes off like your kid got benched for a kid that moved in. again, I said it last night on Twitter. There's probably a reason why they felt like they needed a kid to move in. And if you really think that you telling your kid his entire life he can be whatever he wants and he can run out on Sanford Stadium on Saturdays and then play for the Atlanta Falcons, um, again, dreams are great, but realistic ones are better. Attainable ones are better. There's a whole hell of a lot of football players that were great high school football players that had a great high school football career that, again, they didn't amount to, doing that. It's a very small percentage of people. So ultimately, I don't fault coaches for, getting players. I do fault coaches who go out there and do it in a manner that is, inappropriate in my opinion. I think that if you're gonna show up at, you know, these skills camps and host skills camps and, you know, have the Elite 11 on your campus for the middle school group so you can handpick your next quarterback, wink, wink, over there in West Georgia. I think that might be worth having a discussion about. But, at the end of the day, um, I don't really, that doesn't move the needle for me. And these people that want to come out and say, oh, well, they just want to better their situation. I get it, but all these kids that end up leaving some of these places end up costing these other coaches jobs in the long run. That's the problem I have with it. I don't care if you want to leave. It's the fake news of the whole system of, hey, you have to go here to get offered. Have to. You're not going to get an offer if you stay at this school or that school. Bullshit. If you're good enough, they'll find you. And at the end of the day, you see that, and I'm using Gainesville as an example because it's a recent example. You have kids that transfer to Gainesville that are not contributing to the level in which they would have at another place. And now, again, why'd you do it? Because anybody wants to blow smoke up everybody's ass and say, hey, they did it for the education. No, the hell they didn't. Okay. Trust me. I know Gainesville schools pretty well. Not calling anybody out, but they're not, a blue ribbon banner holder here. Okay. Like, they have two separate buildings for the athletes and the general population. Okay, the regular citizens. Okay, it is very, very different. They're not there to play school. Okay, and that's okay. uh just tell the truth about it, be honest about it, and stop blowing smoke up everybody's ass and stop getting in my DMs and replies about, no, so and so just loves Gainesville. Okay, sure. Whatever you need to do to make yourself feel good. So and so loves Carrollton. So and so loves Buford. Guys, I don't give a shit if you think that or not. Somebody still had to reach out to them, or they reached out to coaches. Whatever. I don't care. But just do yourself a favor. Go look on Zillow. Go look and see what the rental situation is in some of these places, and you tell me where they're living. It's a really easy, task while you're on Christmas break. Just go and see how that works, because I'd be shocked if in Gainesville, Georgia, that extended stay isn't booked up. Booked up. So realize this shit happens. It is what it is. But, I'm not gonna lose my mind over it, and neither should you. Again, go get kids. Who gives a shit? Just don't DM teenage boys, because again, that's, you should, the fact that I'm even having to say you shouldn't do it, uh, just be upfront and honest with people. If you have a desire to get people rolling, then hey, let's get people rolling. But the reality is, have your coaches' backs as admins. If they need help getting a kid in that's having an interest in coming here and that it can help that football program, and they're multi-sport athlete, yeah. What do we need to do to help them understand the process so it's done the right way? Not hey, just put a write your address on a sheet of paper and we'll take it for what it is. We're not going to check anything, and we'll go from there, because I have it on good authority that two ADs in Northeast Georgia have been on the record saying that we can't win with insert this city kids anymore. We got to go get other kids. And the reality is, if you really think hard enough about it, you'd be able to narrow down exactly who I'm talking about. So realize that, get on, either bitch about it or do something about it. Okay. But I'm over hearing about it. So again, go find your kids, keep your kids, build good programs, do it the right way, and don't text and DM teenage boys. Pretty simple.
Coach, as usual, I have enjoyed our chats and the insight you bring to the game, and your point of view on things is always, if nothing else, it is funny to me, and sharing that tweet was fantastic. And I would just like to remind everyone that on March the 14th, we'll be having the Sun Coaches Retreat in Atlanta, and we'll have coaches speaking featured from McEachern, Creekview, Central Carrollton, Long County, Pike County, Rockmart, Taylor County, and Kings Ridge. We have all classifications in the private schools represented. There's going to be a lot of good fellowship. These guys will be leading fellowship with us and talking and hanging out old school style. No vendors, no college coaches telling us how to coach 6'5" kids, because we're fresh out of those. And we'll have that going on. And one last thing I'd like to say, that I am just so, I don't know, I'm jealous of Coach Ed, because he gets all these care packages from these schools, and I can't get a hat, a T-shirt, anything. And I understand that I'm still coaching, but I was once told that I've got all the T-shirts, and I don't, in fact, have all of the T-shirts. But it would be awesome if I could get all of the T-shirts. That would be awesome. But with that being said, thanks for tuning in. Catch us after Christmas, and we probably are going to talk about Christmas. We're going to talk about college football playoffs, and we're going to talk about whatever else happens in the Twitterverse between here and there. And always remember, relax. It's just satire.